all of you in the another session of transportation engineering. As you all know that we have been learning transportation engineering in various kind of segments. There are total 5 segments. First is about the introduction, then about the highway transportation, then it was about the rail transportation, then we have learned about the water transportation, and now we are learning the another module, the another segment, that is air transportation. We are going to learn air transportation, which is module number 5. So stay attentive, as this is one of the most important as well as interesting parts. What we are going to cover in this particular segment is we are going to cover the topics which are related to air transportation. Okay. So after numerous attempts, let us learn from the beginning. After numerous attempts of creating certain flight machines, and after many failed prototypes, Wright brothers, these are the persons, Wright brothers finally created a plane that could get the airborne and stay there. It is also called as famous failure series because before experiencing the taste of success through patenting their own flight on aeroplanes, they had faced numerous failure attempts. And they have stated that if you have never failed, then you have never tried something new. So this is how the first aircraft was looking. This is how they created, the Wright brothers created first aircraft. Now, let us move towards the technical section. The first point is about the aerodrome. What is aerodrome? So let me tell you that aerodrome is the area, it is the area on land or on water. It is the area which may be occupied on the land or on the water. Why it is used? What is aerodrome? So let me tell you that it is the area which is used wholly or partially for the arrival, the departure, and the surface movement of aircraft on the surface of land or water. The area which is preoccupied for the arrival, the departure, and the surface movements of aircraft on the surface of land or water is known as aerodrome. And the first aerodrome was built in United Kingdom in the year 1910. Fine, so this is about the aerodrome. Now let us discuss about airport. So airport it is any kind of aerodrome which is having the permanent custom and immigration facilities. They are not temporarily available. So this is the basic difference between aerodrome and airport. That aerodrome is the area which is occupied on the surface of land or on the surface of water, which is wholly or partially used for the purpose of arrival, departure, and the surface movements of aircraft. It was built in 1910, and airport means it is the kind of aerodrome which is having the permanent facilities of custom and immigration. This is how aerodrome looks like or airports looks like. Now, what is an airport? From the junior KG or senior KG days, we have been encountering the word of airport. So let me tell you technically what airport is. Actually, you all know what is airport, but let me tell you in brief that technically the airport is the facility where the passengers connect from the ground transportation to air transportation. This is the first point. The passenger can connect from ground transportation to air transportation. It is the location where the aircraft such as airplane, helicopters take off and land. Aircraft may also be stored and maintained and repaired at airport. It should have the runways to take off and landing, and it should have the buildings such as hangars and terminal buildings. We are going to learn all these things in detail in the next slide. This is just the basic concept of airport. That airport is the facility where the passengers can connect from ground transportation to air transportation. It is the location where the aircraft such as aeroplane, helicopters take off. It is also particular location where they can be stored, they can be maintained, they can be repaired. And it should have certain facilities such as terminal buildings, terminal facilities, runways, taxiways, etc. Now there are various classification of airports. The first classification is based on functions, then the second is based on the ownership, the third classification is based on the facilities available, and the fourth is based on the type of aircraft to serve. If we discuss about the functions, if we discuss about the classification based on function, then let me tell you that based on function there are four categories: heliports, storeports, conventional and seaplane bases. Now let us learn about all these things. Heliports means these are the airports which are used for specifically for helicopters, as the name suggests. Store ports are used for the short takeoff or landing for private flights. The conventional airports means the normal commercial aircraft, and the seaplane bases are used for the floating of aircraft on the sea surfaces. So this is the classification which is based on the function. First is heliport, then the store port, then conventional ports and the seaplane bases. If we discuss about the another classification, then it comes about the based on usage or ownership. Based on usage or ownership, there are four types: private, public, military, and joint. As the name suggests, private public is owned by government, private is owned by individual, then the military is owned by the military purposes only, and the joint use is used for both the civil and military aviation. Then another classification is based on facilities. There are two types of classification: number and type of runways available and navigational aids. And then the another type of classification is based on the facility to serve, the type of aircraft to serve. It involves four categories: BU airports, GU airports, BT airports, and GT airports. BU stands for basic utilities, GU stands for general utilities, BT stands for basic transport utilities, and general transport means and GT transport. BU stands for single engine or twin engine aircraft. GT stands for the median, which twin means double engine aircraft under the weight of 5,670 kg. BT Airport is having business jets under 7,200 kgs, and GT means it covers almost anything that flies. So this is the most narrow down. This is a BU is like this, GU is like this, BT is like this, and GT is like this. This is GT, this is BT, this is GU, and this is BU. So this is how it can be classified based on the type of aircraft you saw. Then comes the classification based on ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. It is the one of the most popular classification, and the motive, the mission of the aim of this particular classification is to achieve the uniformity in the design standards. So ICAO stands for International Civil Aviation Organization. It is one of the most popular organizations. It aims to achieve the uniformity in the design standards. If we discuss further, it is divided into two ways category. First is about based on codes, and second is on the based on code numbers, code letters and code numbers. See, there are two classifications. Letter stands for ABCDE and code number stands for 1 to 7. Now the first is about code letters. If the airport is of A type, then the maximum runway length will be more than 2100 and minimum will be 2100. So it will be in this range. The width of runway will be 45 and the maximum longitudinal grade will be 1.5. Same applies for B, then for C, D and E. So this is the classification based on code letters which is given by International Civil Aviation Organization. If we discuss about the another classification which is based on the code numbers, then it is having seven categories based on the wheel load, which is prescribed in the kg, and tire pressure which we have calculated in the geometry division of highway, that the unit is kg per centimeter square. It is this. If it is a first type, then it will have highest wheel load. 45,000 kg, and tire pressure will be 8.5 kg per centimeter square. And same, it will be moving towards the another categories from 1 to 7. So this is the classification which is based on the code numbers. Now let us discuss about certain aircraft characteristics. Aircraft characteristics, if I'm not sure, but mostly it is not given in your syllabus, but it is required to be learned in order to get the thorough knowledge of airport transportation or air transportation. So let me brief you that this is the section where the cockpit of the aeroplane is situated, which is used to command and control the whole aircraft. Then the jet engine is provided over here. It generates the thrust. Then these are the wings. We are going to learn in detail that generate the lift due to which the aircraft can move in up and down direction. This is the horizontal stabilizer which controls the pitch. This is the vertical stabilizer that controls the yaw. I'm going to indicate what is pitch and what is yaw, don't worry. This is used for rudder. It changes the yaw direction. This is elevator. These are the flaps. These are the flaps. You may have observed while sitting on the window seat in the aircraft. These are the flaps which are variable. It changes the lift and drag. This is called as aileron that changes the roll. These are called as spoilers that changes the lift, drag and roll. This is called as slats which changes the lift, and this is called as fuselage. It holds things together and carries the payload. So this is how the aircraft characteristics can be understood. It is having various kind of characteristics such as horizontal stabilizer, vertical stabilizer, rudder, elevator, then flaps, then aileron, then spoilers, then slats, then fuselage, then cockpit, then jet engines, then wings. Now let us discuss about aircraft components. This is how we can elaborate these components. In your book, it is given like this. This is the photo of your book. This is the actual photo through which the understanding can be clear, the concepts can be understood very easily. This is your book's photo. This is propeller, these are wings, these are aileron, these are flaps. I have already indicated all this in the 3D photo. This is leading edge, this is trailing edge, this is vertical fin, this is rudder, this is elevator, this is the whole section is fuselage, and these are the flaps. Let us discuss the important segments one by one. Certain important segments of aircraft components include wings, fuselage, power unit, undercarriage, control surfaces, engine, and flaps. Let us discuss one by one. The main distinguishing features of an aircraft involves the wing position, the shape of the wing, and the number of the wing. Let us discuss about the wing positions. These are the wings. See. If we discuss about position, the wings may have low wings. You can observe these are the low wing which is situated at the lower part of the aircraft. Sometimes it may also have mid wings, such as medium wings which are located in the middle part. Sometimes, if we discuss about high wings, these are the high wings which is located at the upper part of the aircraft. So low wing, mid wing, and high wing are the parts. If we discuss about wing shape, then it may have a rectangular shape. This is the rectangular shape. It may also have tapered shape, means the area is increasing with the increase in length. See, this is the smaller area, this is the larger area, and this particular segment is called as tapered section, where the area gets increased. It may also have the swept kind of shape. This is swept. It cannot be termed as tapered section because this is tilted at certain angle. And then the last is about delta. See, this is the delta shape. So these are the shapes of wings which are situated in the aircraft. If we discuss about wings, and wing number, then if it is having one wing, then it is called as monoplane. If it is having three wings, then it will be called as triplane. If it is having two wings, one, two, it will be called as biplane. Now let us discuss about the fuselage. This is the part of fuselage. See this. Fuselage is the part that contains the cockpit, which is situated over here, the flight and navigational instruments that are situated over here. It controls the windshield and the controlling parts. It also includes passenger cabins, galleys, toilets, wardrobe, and technical compartments. See, this is the major part, major area which is covered by fuselage. It covers majorly all the components such as cockpit, passenger cabin, galleys, toilets, wardrobes, and technical compartments. It is called as the main body of the aircraft as it contains majority of the things of the aircraft. Let us discuss about certain characteristics of fuselage. What are the characteristics? It is shaped to fine point at the rear, but not too fine. See, you can see this is the fine part. It is not the not in the form of edges or cornered edges. It should be deep enough for the stand. This is deep enough for the stand, which should also cover the safety and efficiency. It should be large enough to give the tankage space. See, large enough. And it should not be too small, but it should be so small that it should reduce the wind resistance. So it should cover the moderate criteria of space, moderate criteria of strength, and moderate criteria of shape. Shape, then strength, and then space. So this is about the fuselage. See, this is the figure. This photo shows the placement of power unit and engine. It is also called as aircraft power unit or AGPU system. The power unit is situated over here. The main distinguishing features of an aircraft are engine position and engine number. Let us discuss about the types of engine. According to the propulsion, the aircraft can be classified into four categories. First is piston engine. Second is it may have turbojet engine. It may also have turboprop or turbofan engine, or it may be of type of rocket engine. Let us discuss all the things one by one. So we are discussing about the piston engine, then comes the jet engine, then comes the turboprop, which is also called propeller turbine and turbofan. So this is how all the engines of the aircraft look like. Let us discuss the segments one by one. Let us discuss about the piston engine. Piston engine is having the lower altitude and moderate speed. It is having the gasoline filled reciprocating engine. So it uses the gasoline and it reciprocates the engine with lower altitude and moderate speed. Then comes the piston, the other part that is about turbojet, which is also called as jet engine. The compression in the jet engine is located with the motor that can be seen over here. The hot gases will escape with the remaining energy. The gases will escape from this point and it will give the forward thrust in this direction. The speed of the escaping gases are 1600 kmph, which will put the plane on the forward thrust, forward direction in the speed of 800 kmph. So these are the certain important technical details of turbojet engine. Then comes the advantages of jet engines over the conventional engine. See, there are no radiators or other cooling circuits are required if we talk about jet engines. In jet engines, engine cooling is having less cost because no additional energy is required in order to cool the engine. No chances of vibration, no sparkles are provided for the operation. It is having lower fire calamity or the chances of that. It works with noiseless operations. It lowers the specific weight. It is having the less consumption of the radiation. Let us discuss about the wings. It can have single pair, double pair, triple pair, quadruple pair of wings. If we discuss about it, then biplane, triplane. Let us discuss about airfoil. This is one of the most important content, and you have to go through this particular segment in your book. I will just narrate the brief segment, brief introduction, which is one of the most important parts. See, this is the kind of wing. I am zooming this thing. It looks like this. See, this is the action line. This point is called as leading edge. This point is called as trailing edge. This is the inner surface. This is the camber line which provides the slope and it joins the trailing edge to the leading edge. This is the upper surface. This is the lower surface. This is the maximum thickness point. This is the minimum thickness point. See, if we extend this line, so this will make an angle, and this angle will look like this. That is called as angle of incidence or angle of attack with the relative wind pressure. This is called as I. Now, what is airfoil? So let me tell you that airfoil or aerofoil is the cross-sectional shape that can be seen in the slide. It is the cross-sectional shape of the wing which can be seen in the form of a leaf, which is having the parts such as trailing edge, leading edge, chord line, camber line, upper surface, lower surface, maximum thickness part, lower thickness part, incident angle, and what is the usage of it? So when the plane will try to fly, the air will act in the downward to upward direction. It will give the upward thrust, and due to which the aircraft will suffer from the lift and drag. It will suffer from lift and it will drag in the upward in the forward direction. So this is about the aerofoil. This is the leading edge, which is called as forward edge. This is called as trailing edge. Then comes the chord, which connects the leading and trailing edge. The main line, the point of maximum thickness. I have already narrated all these things. These are the terminologies that we have to understand together. Now, let us discuss about the basic principle. The basic principle behind the airfoil is based on the thermodynamics. What it says is that the total pressure is equal to the static pressure due to the weight of the air above plus the dynamic pressure due to the motion of air. So the total pressure will be the summation of static and dynamic. Static here means weight of the air above the aircraft and dynamic stands for the motion. The air that travels over the top of the airfoil. See, this is the aircraft. The air which is traveling over here. This is the way. This is our aircraft. This is the way. The air that travels on the top of the surface of the aircraft has to travel faster, and it gains the dynamic pressure. The subsequent loss of the static pressure creates the pressure difference between the upper surface and the lower. That is called as lift. It opposes the weight of the aircraft and produces the drag. As the angle of attack, which is the angle between chord line and the relative airflow line, as the angle is increased, more lift is created. And once the critical angle is reached, the airfoil will stop, will be stable. So this is how it works. Now there are certain other three controls: animator, animator controls pitching. I narrated in the first level, I will explain in detail. Pitching means the y-axis movement, up and down y-axis movement. The rudder means yawning, that means y-axis movement or movement. And aileron means rolling, rolling means movement about x-axis. So x-axis movement is called as rolling. Then y-axis is movement is called as pitching, and z-axis movement is called as yawing. It is not yawing, it is yawing. Now let us discuss about airport master plan. The airport master plan represents the planner's idealized concept of the structure of the ultimate development of the airport. It should have certain research and logic. It should be applied to the modernization and expansion. Now, what are the objectives of master plan as per FAA? FAA stands for Federation of Aviation Agency. It is the operating mode of US Department of Transportation. There are certain objectives such as the first objective is to provide an effective graphical representation of the ultimate development of the airport. It should establish the schedule of priorities and the phasing of various improvements. It should present the data and detail gathered. It should describe the various concepts and alternatives that are considered for the finalization of master. So from the first point of preparing the master plan to the last finalization plan, all the points, all the important segments, all the representation and phases and priorities must be included while we are talking about the master plan. The structure of the airport master plan procedure recommended by FAA, Federation of Airport Aviation, is divided into four. The first phase is about the is knowing the airport requirements. The second phase is about the selection of site. The third phase is about preparing the airport plan. And the fourth phase is about the preparation of financial. So four segments will be there. First is about the requirement. Second is about site selection. Third is about the airport plan. And fourth is about the financial. Now there are certain ICAO recommendations for International Civil Aviation Organization. The recommendations are similar to FAA. It is heavy importance on the physical planning and the fiscal legislation. Fiscal is the financial law of the area required should be studied first. Now let us discuss about the data which are required for the site selection. First of all, we need to know the peak hour volume. Then we need to know the type of aircraft that can be implemented or deployed on the particular site. Then the type of airport and its sizes that can be deployed, and then the type of operational control machine. Let us discuss about the site selection of airport. Requirements of land area should be studied. The airport locational factor should be studied. The preliminary office study of the possible sites should be studied. Site inspection should be done. Environmental study should be done. Potential sites should be reviewed. All the cost estimates and revenue which are going to be generated should be evaluated. The outline plan, the boundary plan should be prepared. The final evaluation on the export site should be done, and the report and recommendation should be submitted at the authority. Along with this, there are certain important factors that we need to learn, such as availability of available area, if the area is available or not, what is the purpose for that the airport is going to be constructed, the purpose needs to be studied. The accessibility from the road or railway to the airport should be studied, that whether the connectivity is there or not, or how needs to construct the road for that. The topographical conditions should be studied, the soil conditions should be studied, drainage conditions should be studied. Whether the construction materials are available in the vicinity or not, this should be studied. The development cost should be studied and the maintenance cost should also be studied. Along with this, cross-line component proximity to the airport, safety factor, revenues, visibility, obstructions, future development should also be studied. And zoning laws should be considered. Zoning laws stand for the restriction to the development of airports so that no structure produces above the occupancy period. You have observed that where the airports are there, no high-rise building will be seen. So height zoning plays an important role. The land zoning also plays an important role. Now we'll discuss about the typical layout of an airport in the next segment. Share, thank you so much.